What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Jav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review. Today with me, we got my brother B.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Yeah, man, just us two tonight, man. Shout out to Al and Sanj. But tonight, B, you and I, we will be discussing the slap heard across the world.
it was heard pretty much.
Yeah,
You
pretty
can hear
much.
that loud and clear.
We're gonna be talking about Will Smith and Chris Rock's little altercation there, if you want to call it that, and then we'll talk about the Oscars overall, like how we felt about them, and some of our disappointments, some of our like highlights of the show, and then there was a deleted scene that was released by Matt Reeves regarding the Batman that kind of showcased the Joker a little bit more. So we'll talk about that. And then last but not least, since Morbius is coming out this Thursday night, we'll talk about Morbius for a second to get us kind of hyped up and ready for the movie, if we can be. Yeah. Oh, not hearing such great things, but okay. But Brandon, let's get right down to it, man. The first thing we're going to talk about tonight, of course, is the big thing that came out of the Oscars, unfortunately, was the slap heard across the world, or it really wasn't that heard. It was just more like, was that real? And, I watched it live and I didn't know it was real. But when I heard mute, my earphones were mute, and I was like, is my earphones okay? And like, I see Chris Rock talking, and there's nothing saying, and I can clearly read, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. And then the funniest thing, of course, is seeing Lupita Nyong'o's face at first, thinking it's a joke, and then she's like, "Oh no, this is real.
Yeah.
This is real." And we'll talk about that because one, it's the big topic that everyone's talking about, but also something I wanted to talk to you about this whole thing, and just get your take on it. So, I mean, first and foremost, let's just put it out there. Will Smith has been, for me, a big part of my life as far as growing up. You know what I mean? Like, I remember Will Smith, the rapper, before he became the actor, and I did enjoy his music, so it's like, it's hard to see him grow and be this person that he is, and then have this one moment. And no man should be ever judged by their worst moment ever, just as well as they shouldn't be judged just slowly on their best moment in life. But there's a part of me, B, that hurts a little bit from this experience of watching this man that I've watched his whole entire pretty much career from a teenager up until this moment, that kind of hurts me, and I will say, quote unquote, my community. And it feels like it hurts because, but you grew up with me, brother. We grew up in the Bronx and in Uniondale, New York. It's no lie. I'm gonna do a spoiler alert. I am not black. However, the culture I grew up in, the friends that I had in my entire life, were mostly black gentlemen, black men, black women that have been surrounded a part of my life. I have pretty much taken in the culture because it's all I've been around, all I've known. And I think if you didn't walk in my shoes, you may not understand that by looking at me. But if you grew up how I grew up, you would understand that that is pretty much a part of my culture. And it's hard to see two black men have a disagreement like that in front of the Oscars, man. And that kind of hurt me, man, because a part of me is like, I understand where he's coming from, but that's not the way you handle that, man, especially at his age and with the world watching. That's something that you may, like, the camera goes to you, go, we're going to talk. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you say something like that. But I also know that there's a lot of history with Chris Rock and the Will Smith family, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, with a lot of jokes going back and forth between, Chris Rock about them in the Oscars previously. A couple of comments on Instagram by Chris Rock on Will Smith's little comments to his baby's mother from previous history. And there's a lot of little things that have gone on in between. But with all that said, man, that's not how you handle that, man. And
No.
it felt like a loss for quote unquote us, because I'm like, God damn it, now they're gonna think they're right.
I actually 100% agree with you. It was funny, as actually just yesterday, I was in here cleaning the bunnies, and I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why, but like Dutty Wine popped in my head, and I just started singing it.
One of
And
them, two of
the
them.
two of them, the crew of them, I will find them, right? And like Dawn popped in. She goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm singing a song." She goes, "It's not a song." I'm like, "That's a song." I was like, "It's a song."
Wait, you know how many times I'll be like in the backyard or with Alex, and I'll go, ah, uapan, atapan. If anybody knows Dutty Wine, that's how it starts. There's like a little kid that says that, but I'm like, ah, uapan.
And so like, it's funny because even in the same respects, in the same regards, while we do have an age difference between us, I do remember growing up in Uniondale, and I took a lot of that culture with me when we moved to Medford. And even though I was the outcast for a long time, I had no idea who freaking Slim Shady Eminem was. Like I never heard of Korn before, or heavy metal. I didn't know what heavy metal was. I'm over
Right.
here, like, rapping and talking about DMX and X, Y, and Z, and I didn't fit in for a while. And so, a lot of that culture stuck with me, and it just became a part of the things I did like. I
Right.
found a way to include in the things as I grew up, and I started to appreciate rock and roll and indie and all alternative and all these things. I still, as you can tell with Dutty Wine, like I still hold a lot of that culture with me.
Hmm.
And last night I watched it during the Oscars, and I watched it after the Oscars, and I do have to comment on a couple of things there, regarding the situation itself. That should never have happened. And like, number one, shame on the Oscars for letting that happen, because there are some bits that are done, at the Oscars in light of jokes. Everyone thought it was a joke at first. Lupita Nyong'o thought it was a joke, but even then, like the Oscars in a stage like that, because it's the Academy, quote unquote, the Academy, that's usually something that has to be scripted and put out beforehand, so they understand it's happening. So the fact that it wasn't scripted, and the fact that it happened, and the Oscars allowed that to happen to Chris Rock, is a scary moment. Like there was no security there to provide safety for this man. And the joke or not, he didn't write the joke. That's the thing. That's the grand scheme of all of this, is Chris Rock didn't even write the joke. So the joke was given to him by the writers from the Oscars to say, and he said it. So he did his job because that's what he was paid to do. Chris Rock hasn't had business in a while. He got paid to do this. So he told the joke that he was paid to tell, and he suffered the repercussions of it. And now, like, good on him for how he responded. I
Yeah.
know, as a martial artist, I'm a calm person, but if somebody hits me in the face, whether it's an accident or not, I wouldn't even say as a man, but like, your hormones in your body initially kick in. Like, I've been hit in the face, and I now have to respond, you know? And so like,
Yeah.
you usually either fight back or you do something stupid. Chris Rock in the moment took the hit, and he was kind of making a fist for a second, but he stopped himself, and he backed up, and he just tried to shrug it off when Will walked away, and he kind of tried to move on. And then I got really mad at everybody's attempts to be like, oh, he didn't play it off right, because he ended up stumbling over his words as he tried to do the
Nah,
presentation.
come on, man. Anybody would have been flustered with
And
that.
that's what I said. I was like, at the same
Anybody.
point, like, the man just got hit in the face by someone that he may or may not respected, whatever, in front of all of these people that are celebrities, actors that are his friends. He just got assaulted in front of them, and he had to carry upon his business. So, like, joke or no joke, good on Chris Rock for his response to all of it.
Hmm.
Um, but then at the same time, like you were talking about Will Smith, like, I love Will Smith,
Yeah.
but that moment was a nasty moment. I didn't take well to that. Especially for the fact that it seemed like a moment that came because of recent media on Will
Attention
Smith
and
and his
stuff.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just telling Alex that. I was telling wifey, I was just like, I wonder how much of it is all the attention, the jokes and all the stuff. Like even with this whole slapping incident, the first thing people were saying, like, oh, he didn't have that energy for August. I'm like, oh dude, come on, that's dirty.
yeah,
You know?
and that's in the same respect as like, and I'm not a victim blamer. I'm not a blamer on anything like that.
Yeah.
Whatever lifestyle that the Smiths have chosen to have is their
That's
chosen
their
lifestyle.
business, man.
That's
Yeah.
their business. I'm not calling Jada any names in any way, shape, or form. And I understand that she's going through alopecia. I have one of my best friends is also going through alopecia as well. But it was in the moment that took me out of it was when Chris Rock made the joke. The initial cut of the camera was to Will Smith, who was enjoying the joke. He took it as a joke and he moved on. And I don't know what happened when the camera panned away from him, after it panned on to Jada and she made the face. But it seemed like there may have been a moment there that was discussed that wasn't okay. And I listen, 100% like I Dawn has to hold me back when somebody says something about her in a joking manner that I don't like.
Right.
I would react. I'm not trying to defend Will Smith's actions, but instinctively in my head when someone says something about Dawn, I'm like, oh, I want to hit you. Like I'm gonna get in your face. Like get my wife's name out your mouth. Like like that.
Yeah.
That's my same reaction.
Right.
And she has to tell me no. Like I'm dealing with it. It's fine. So like I understand his reaction, but that reaction came after a moment in which we couldn't see, where it seemed like Will Smith was going with it and was just going to be the moment that passed and it was just a joke. And then out of
Yeah.
nowhere, he walks onto the stage and he hits him in the face, you know?
Yeah.
And it seemed like, and I'm not putting any blame on Jada or anything or any kind of forceful thing, but it seemed as if in that moment it became what the media has put on the Smith family. He took into light into the moment and carried upon his actions with that.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed a little. It's weird because we don't know Will Smith, but for his character that he portrays or himself that he is, it
Yeah,
didn't seem like something that he would do or something he's about. You know what I mean? He's always been like considered the not soft, but not the hardcore rapper and like the nice guy actor. And I
yeah,
think it's just like maybe he took it upon himself to be like, you guys are playing me for stupid or for like Mr. Nice Guy
yeah,
when you disrespect my wife, that's the line. Because it's funny because we had the conversation today, myself and my wife. We were saying like, what would you do in that situation? And my personal first thought was, I'm definitely gonna approach the person and ask them like, hey, what's up with that, man? My wife's going through something. What's the deal with that joke? I'm gonna hope the response is, oh, I didn't know she was going through something, but I want to give them the opportunity to tell me that first. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But I don't know. Like again, we're not superstars. We're not celebrities. We're not in their shoes, so we wouldn't know what we do in that moment. I just would like to think that I wouldn't go up on a stage in front of cameras, in front of the world, and do something like that because I'd be playing myself, playing my culture, playing my people. I almost feel like, damn, dude, just handle that outside, handle that in the
yeah.
background. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
then and then for the cameras to consistently from that point on, then focus on Will Smith and all the people that have to go and comfort him.
yeah,
Like that wasn't the moment. Like
yeah.
I don't then need to see all these people trying to console this man. Like cut
Yeah, I
to
think that was a
like,
cell phone video though. I think that was a cell phone video from
oh,
someone on
okay.
top. Yeah, that
Uh,
they looks like Denzel, Sam
Denzel, Bradley
Jackson.
Cooper,
Yeah,
all these people, and it's just like I understand the moment, but like, like let's not focus on that moment that we want to put past us, because it was a very awkward thing that really did change the tone of the Oscars last night.
gotcha, man. Now, what's your take on like so that situation happens with with Chris Rock and Will Smith, and then not more than a half hour later, I believe that's when Will Smith won the Oscar for
For best
Best
actor.
Actor for playing Serena and Venus's father, Richard Williams, there,
Yeah.
or King Richard, as the movie calls him. You know what I mean? And he's there talking about love and talking about how he handles things. And then, he kind of put it in there that he apologized to the Academy and for people watching, and saying that he's a defender of his family, which I completely understand. But there's a lot of people saying he shouldn't have had that opportunity after that. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because he still deserved his Oscar. His Oscar had nothing to do with that situation. But at
Mhm.
the same time, I'm wondering if it had been anybody else, would they have kicked him out of the Oscars? Had it been some John Boyega, or had it been, somebody else that's not that big just yet, would they have let them stay for that, the opportunity?
And that I actually completely agree with you. Is like the Oscars. I mean, I've never found the Oscars to be anything more than a name. Like I can honestly tell you, I've never enjoyed watching the Oscars. I've never really enjoyed seeing the winners. Like it's just not, this is not a moment that they make special. Like
Hmm.
I feel like they underwhelm the actual praise of what it should be. Like you were the best actor this year, in your critically acclaimed role. Like I just feel it feels so underwhelming. Like they're just finding a reason to hand it out. Like
Right.
like it's always so underwhelming to me, and I'm very appreciative of all the winners in terms of, like, hey, you deserved it. These accolades are incredible, but it seems like the actual show itself is almost just like a reason to hand something out, like where I couldn't just send it to you in the mail. So here, come to this event so I can give it to you. Like that's how it's always felt to me.
Right.
And so like I completely agree with the fact that like it seems like the big boys in the schoolyard, like if you're a man of stature like Denzel and such, you can go and do anything you want at the Oscars because you're Denzel Washington, you're Will Smith, you're this person, you're a big name, like the same thing with the security. I don't understand how physically security didn't even step up when Will Smith was walking towards the stage. Like there was
Right.
no immediate threat that he could be stopped, and that scared me for Chris Rock's safety. This could have went further than that, and who was going to stop it? If Will Smith decided he was going to go further than a slap, who was going to stop it? Another
Right.
celebrity? Like where was security? So, and to your point about like John Boyega or someone lower like Simu Liu, or like Aquafina, like anyone on the lower totem pole of celebrity, I feel that they would have had a higher repercussion should something like that happen to them.
Yeah, they
Especially
would have
like
been
John
they would have been
Boyega,
kicked out.
I think they would have been walked out before they even
Right.
got the award, and it would have just been one of those announcing this person got the award but they couldn't be here. Like like
Yeah.
it feels like foul play and like the billionaire boys club kind of a thing. It's just not fair. And I was reading a lot of articles about the Oscars today, and a lot of them were along the same lines of like, we don't need the Oscars anymore. Like it could be one of those, here, you earn this kind of a commercial award thing, but we don't need the live Oscars anymore because it's turning into this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too far where it says turning into this, because it's like the first time something like this has ever happened. You have other award shows where shit like this has happened. I'm sure Kanye West is over there grilling, like grinning ear to ear, like, yeah, I'm not the only one now. But at the same time, man, I just, there's a part of me that does enjoy the Oscars, because it's opened my eyes to other movies that I don't normally see. Like, the winner from last night, Best Picture, Coda. I've never even heard of it. I didn't even know it was a movie. But because it won Best Picture, I'm not gonna guarantee I'm gonna see it. But I might check it out now a little bit more than I would have 2 weeks ago or 2 days ago. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, there's a couple of movies I've never heard of, or thought of looking at, because they're not my kind of movies. Belfast, no interest, right, right. But if I saw it on TV and I'm like, oh, this was nominated for Best Picture, won a couple awards, let me check it out. I might actually give it a shot because of the Oscars. And I think there's also something to giving credit to people who bust their ass and act their ass off in a
Oh yeah.
movie, You know what I
Completely
mean?
agree.
Because not everything's going to be an action movie, a horror movie, or a sci-fi movie. You got these real movies that tell great stories, like these other movies, like The Power of the Dog kind of movie. These are all movies I've never seen before, but I might give them a shot now because I've watched it, you know what I mean, on the award show.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, man. But there's a lot of conversations going on right now about like, comedians, especially with the Oscars. I think it's like part of the Oscars where they roast the crowd in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Do you think that comedians should change the way that they do their job now, or do you think that people just have to be able to understand that this is just jokes?
I think, it's so hard nowadays with everything. Like I watch comedies now where like the jokes don't hit realms of a lot of the things because they're trying to avoid talking about sex or certain genders or current news or anything like that because they're
Right.
afraid of any repercussions or backlash from their fans. And like
Hmm.
I understand the thinking that you want to protect yourself, you also want to build yourself up, without deterring anything or losing opportunities because of the things you say. So, and that's completely understandable. But I think in terms of like in the way we use comedians now, like you had three comedians that hosted last night. You had
Right.
Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and I'm blanking on the last one.
Wanda
Um,
Sykes.
Wanda Sykes, right? You had three comedians, and I think they actually did a pretty good job in their deliveries and X, Y, and Z, and many of their jokes are written by the writers for the Oscars. So, while I think Amy Schumer did go off script with one of her own jokes, it worked because it was something that was good.
She said, "What's going on with the vibe in here? It feels like different than before. Did I miss something?"
So like like I think the problem is like in the way we try and use comedians, we have to understand that. I mean, I don't even want to say the word understand, but the hope is that these are jokes. They're not meant to offend. They're not meant to draw lines. They're meant
Hmm.
to make you laugh for the short period of time and then you move on. There's many comedians who state, I just say this on stage for you to laugh, but that's not who I am off the stage. We've had the whole controversy with Dave Chappelle and the transgender community, and Dave Chappelle, whichever stance we stand on with Dave Chappelle and all of that and those jokes with Netflix, you know, Dave Chappelle would always say, he's just like, I come out here and I tell jokes. I don't understand where the line was drawn when people couldn't tell jokes anymore about each other. He's like, I'm talking about my own community and half the jokes, so like, it becomes a point like, is comedy now changing to be accepting of other people in light of humor. Like it's a weird thing. Like comedy isn't what it was in 1980s. You don't have Richard Pryor anymore. Like we
Yeah.
are far past Richard Pryor. Like so.
Eddie
I
Murphy.
think Eddie Murphy in Raw, like, come on, like Eddie Murphy would be in jail for what he said in Raw, like like and nowadays you think I don't understand. A lot of people I talk to, they have their views on Chappelle and all these other comedians now who they talk their mind or they say what they have to say or say what they want to say, and I remind them, I'm just like, if you went back to the 80s, like half those comedians, if you want to chastise these guys for what they're saying, you forget that these guys said so much worse. Like,
Yeah.
they would have been a lynch mob for what they said. Like
Absolutely, man. And I think that's the problem right now is that when you draw that line that you can't say this, then that line keeps getting extended. Okay, now include you can't say this, you can't say this. At one point, is that like comedy now? Like you're limited to what you can make fun of. I don't want
yeah,
that life. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to understand that when some comedians make comedy, they're going to offend someone.
yeah,
Whether it's a skinny person, a fat person, someone of color, someone, a white person, a woman, a male. They're making jokes randomly. I mean, it's usually like a long like script that they're following that they wrote themselves
yeah,
out to kind of follow along. And there's going to be times where you're going to offend someone, and the hope is that no one does any kind of racist jokes or any kind of like
They go too
misogynistic
far. Yeah,
jokes
nobody
that go
wants to
too
go too
far.
far.
Right. You want someone to be funny but fair at the same time. Nothing too like where you go, oh, but there's always those too soon jokes, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
it's hard when people make that distinction of what can be funny and what cannot be. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
why I do love Chappelle. He makes his jokes and he's an intelligent comedian. Some of his jokes take thought. It's like, dude, you got to let these people just be sometimes and understand that they're just making jokes. But there is now this supreme line that everybody has to follow that just makes it tough, man. Listen, a comedian's job just got harder, man. It just got
Yeah,
harder.
and I mean, as the world turns and the world changes, and new thing comes to light, and to embrace community in a sense, like yes, there's the understanding that, especially like we talk about Chappelle, we talk about the trans community, and the trans community has been through so much in the last couple of years. Well, not even a couple
Absolutely.
of years, honestly, decade. They've been through the same, just like African American community. I don't want to compare. I'm not trying to compare, but
Yeah.
I understand the pride in you've been fighting for so much, but at the same end of the day, we are people, and I feel like comedy itself is something that we have to worry about being censored, and how
Yeah.
comedy evolves past this point. Like even movies now, in terms of comedic movies, comedy now in movies is, people just being dumb. Like people saying dumb things or just being dumb. They're not being, intelligently crafty and being smart with their comedy. It's just, I just need to have somebody who's dumb who says stupid shit,
Right.
and so like that's what comedy movies are becoming, and it's sad because comedy, without offending people or anything like that, comedy movies used to have such intelligence to them. And I'm not talking about Half Baked, everybody. So for those of you who say Half Baked isn't, there are comedic movies that you have to have thought for. So like, it's sad that we don't get that anymore. And not to
Right.
defend any comedians or to defend any of the controversies happening in different communities. It just seems that like as we start to censor more things as people, we are starting to lose out on several different entertainment based values where
Yeah.
artists have to go through their Twitters from 20 years ago and delete all their old tweets. People have to go through and find the videos they made when they were 15 years old and delete them because they said something that was inappropriate and now they're teachers. Like
Right.
it's a very weird world that we live in now that's so moderate and censored.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. So listen, bottom line with this whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, it's an unfortunate incident that I really wish didn't happen, but it did. And let's see how they come out of it. I mean, I think I'm not Chris Rock, Smith now, maybe in the last 2 hours or so, put out an apology to Chris Rock and also to the Academy and to the people watching, saying that he just, he got emotional because it came to Jada's medical condition there. So, it's kind of understandable. And then, of course, like I said in the beginning, never judge a man by their worst, never judge them by the best. Just, you know, I don't know, man. I just hope that Will Smith this doesn't put a ding in his character. He doesn't deserve that. This is the one time I can remember this guy making like a mistake like this. So, you know, let's give him his kudos for his best acting and kind of like move on and move past this. And let's see
Yeah.
how it goes, man. Let's see what happens for his future, man. I hope there's no red table talk. Jesus, stay off, stay
Oh,
off.
that's next week.
Will Will Smith, stay off that, bro. Please. Now, I mean, listen, after almost a half hour of talking about Will Smith's situation there, let's talk about the Oscars itself, man, like some of the highlights and some of the not so good highlights. Was there anything that stood out for you in the Oscars, B?
I would think honestly, the other than Regina Hall just being hilarious,
Yeah, she was
I
good,
think
man.
one of
She was
my
really good.
one of my favorite moments there was a really heartfelt moment, and like it made me appreciate Lady Gaga even more.
Oh, yes. With Liza.
I feel like 2000 Lady Gaga was trying to make a statement about the music industry with her music, which she was, with her first album, the meat suit and everything like that. And but that caused like a way of thinking about her, that she's a strange person, that she's this, she's that. And then Q 7 years later, she's singing jazz music with Tony Bennett, and we're all like, oh wow, she's great. Like,
Mm,
so like I feel like she's had a skewed mentality. Well, I think we have made, as a community, made a skewed mentality of her as a person
yes.
based on her past, you know. But I felt like, in the last, I don't know, maybe the last like 6 years, I've seen and really appreciated Lady Gaga for who she is as a person, for the way she's worked with Tony Bennett through his Alzheimer's, and like,
Absolutely.
and just like his moments with her, and how she like sparks that in him. And then to see this kind of same thing happen now with Eliza Minnelli, where she put that huge appreciation out there for Eliza Minnelli in a moment in which, was just beautiful. It was really great.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. She kept telling her, reassuring her that she had her.
Yeah,
That was awesome, man.
yeah.
I think while you give a good highlight, man, which is a beautiful one, I got to tell you, man, one of my biggest disappointments for the Oscars is we don't talk about Bruno. My dude, this song has been streamed, downloaded, played, God knows how many damn times, and you give us just maybe the first few bars of it, and then it turned into a dance number with a remix with Megan Thee Stallion that has nothing to do with the goddamn song. She was freestyling because she was just like, and there goes Zendaya over here. I'm like, what? What does this have to do with Bruno? Yeah.
Nobody talked about Bruno.
Nobody talked about Bruno, but they should be talking about Bruno in the song about We Don't Talk About Bruno. Dude,
No, no.
I was so mad because I kind of got hyped up for it. Like my kids have been blasting We Don't Talk About Bruno for the last 3 months. So and then I'm getting used to hearing the song all the time. And then, they gave us the first few bars of the sister. I forgot the sister's name and her
Uh-huh.
husband, and then they didn't do all the other parts. I'm like, what? This is the opportunity to play We Don't Talk About Bruno and you remix the shit? Like yo, dude, I was so mad at them. Like, that's not We Don't Talk About Bruno. That's not the song that is blowing up streaming right now. Like, what is this?
I gotta
Oh,
say, I was super disappointed too, mostly because, like, musically, I mean, listen, we all know Manuel Miranda is a lyrical musical genius, and the
yeah.
way he comes up with these concepts,
Mhm.
and he bases these movies around these concepts, it's incredible. And like, if anybody understands music very well, you have to understand that this movie is literally, he set this movie up to be a grand musical. Like the family madrigal. A madrigal is a piece of music that has all of these different motifs. So We Don't Talk About Bruno is a madrigal. And he brings upon all these great motifs in this hip hop styling and this, flamenco styling. He puts all these things together, and it musically is a mind fuck, because like all of these things are so good and they work so well together. And it's not that they shouldn't, but it's just the fact that, who thinks of that? Like, like, who thinks of putting a madrigal in a Hispanic movie? Like, like it, and it worked.
Yeah,
So
man.
like that was like their chance to like really like hype it up, and like, I mean, not that it's already not hyped up, but like to really just like boom, put it in our face. It was like, Megan the Stallion, what are you even saying?
Oh,
You
that
know?
hurt my feelings so bad, kid. But the other magical moments to me, I think the best supporting actress and the best supporting actor, I think it was Maria DeBrose, or I forgot her name, but she's from the West Side Story movie. Her
Mhm.
speech was amazing. The speech given by the guy who won the supporting actor for Coda, who did the sign language, that was beautiful, man. And what he was saying about his dad and
Mhm.
the deaf community. Oh my God, dude, that was just beautiful.
And
Uh,
Timothy Chalamet not wearing a shirt. This guy
that
was the
was
Arabian Night.
yeah, and big, and again, like granted, Wanda Sykes did her thing, and Amy Schumer, but I'd never expected that from Regina. That was she killed it, man. She did
It was
great, man.
great.
Her COVID test for the people, she said, I got to call just a few names from this piece of paper, but I memorized it as well.
I've always really appreciated Regina Hall, and I feel like she never got the recognition she deserves only because of Scary Movie. I think because of Scary Movie, it like tarnished the accolades she could have had. But I think Regina Hall is great.
Yeah, she's good, man. She's good. Wanda Sykes had me laughing with the whole, like, when she was walking through the Academy Museum.
Yeah.
They showed a black outfit with like cutouts and all this stuff from Cher. They go, "Do you know who this outfit was?" She goes, "Yeah, Little Richard." Dude, I lost it, dude. He said Little Richard was wearing that shit. But the other big, I think that was a great speech, but then it got played by the person who won Best Director, was Kevin Costner's speech, man, about directors and how they can be told to change things, but they stick to their guns about what they want to put in the film and how they do it. And then the lady who won Best Director comes up there, she goes, "That was very dramatic." I was like, yeah, you know what? She just killed it just now. Like,
that's Kate Koss, man. Like, you can't just downplay Kate Koss. Like,
Kate Koss, man. Water World. But yeah, man, listen, overall, I did think the Oscars were good. It wasn't the greatest one. I remember there was a couple ones that I felt that were a lot better than that. I wasn't crazy about some of the songs, you know what I mean? Like what's the girl's name who's big and blowing up now? She does the songs with Phineas.
Billie Eilish.
Yeah, I like the song "No Time to Die" when we heard it in the movie, but in performing this, she killed it. But for some reason, it wasn't like, oh shit, that's amazing. It wasn't that at all. But it was
No,
still
it wasn't Skyfall. That
no.
Nothing ever tops Skyfall. That was a beautiful song by Adele.
Oh, Adele killed that. She killed that. She absolutely killed that, man. But yeah, man, listen, man, I'm looking forward to the Oscars next year, 2023, because I did enjoy this one. This one was pretty good. The way it looked was beautiful, by the way. It was whoever was producing the Oscars this year, it was beautiful. It did look nice. It looked fabulous. If I could describe what fabulous looks like, right? And it's like it looked
Like
luxurious. No. Fabulous. And I'm like, that's not how you spell fabulous. Fabuloso. I'm like, Fabuloso. That's
in case you didn't know so.
Oh God. He's one of the best rappers though that no one gives him credit for, but whatever.
Shit like that.
Because he keeps misspelling his goddamn name. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to next year's Oscars, man. I do hope that they make something out of this next year. Maybe Chris Rock and Will Smith will together give out an award. We'll see if that works out.
Maybe Will Smith, they'll probably dramatize the slap again. They'll probably like replay it. Like,
Oh God. I hope not, man. But yeah, man, that's the Oscars, man. Oscars 2022, man, is in the books, man. And man, I hope it's not just remembered just for that, man. Just not for just the slap there. But let's talk about something else that was pretty big this week. There was a release by Matt Reeves of a snippet from the Batman that wasn't put into the movie. And I don't know why he released it, but hey, man, I think that's something that you should leave for the DVD or the Blu-ray when it comes out. But I guess he released it for the fans. And
yeah,
now
they've been talking about it a lot.
Yeah, but now all the fans were like, you should have put it in the movie.
And I don't think it needed to be in the movie.
Really? See, so my opinion is I saw it and the first thing I thought was, of course, Clarice. It was Silence of the Lambs, pretty much.
Oh, 100%.
But at the same time, there was something interesting about it. I'm not crazy about the design for Joker because it looks a little bit like just brutal. Like, what did Batman do to this man?
He was super vengeance that day. There was so much vengeance that day.
So much vengeance because the back of his head was fucked up, and his mouth and his face. Oh, dude. I wonder if they went with the whole he fell in a vat thing. Well, let's see. But I mean, there was something to the deleted scene that I think would have worked better had that been in there and not what we got in the movie of the Batman. Because the way we got in the Batman, the way we saw the Joker was kind of like just thrown in there at the end of the movie, wasn't really great. So to me, it's like I would rather have had this in there than that end credit scenes with the Joker talking to the Riddler, talking about, we're friends kind of thing. But I found it fascinating that we could see the Batman and the Joker had a history. He's talking about a 1 year anniversary almost. I just don't like the fact that the Batman, after putting him in jail after 1 year of being Batman, feeling like he should go to him to get like help. That I don't
Yeah.
understand. That's the
That
part that
yeah.
lost.
That's my main point about the whole scene is like I think it was a really great scene, like directed very well. But my problem with the scene is that if you were going to put it like that, then he needed to be in the movie earlier to explain, just like even like for a moment, like him catching the Joker in his first year, like something to explain why am I going to this guy? Why did I have the need to go ask this guy, do you know crazy people? Like you're a crazy guy. Can you help me find this crazy guy? Like
Yeah.
it just seemed very like out there. And while I agree with you, like, it seemed more random in the ending to have the Joker there. I did like the idea that this wasn't the Joker yet, whereas in this scene, this is the Joker. This motherfucker's fucked up. He fucked up real bad. But like you're basically giving me this moment that this is the Joker.
Right.
I liked it better when as kind of like subliminal the scene in the movie was. It kind of said to me that this guy may not be the Joker yet. That this may have just been a thug that was caught, before he became the Joker later on. Like maybe he escapes Arkham and then falls into the vat. Like there's a chance that this guy can become the Joker. Whereas that
Gotcha.
scene gave me the Joker. And then if that scene's gonna say that this guy is the Joker, I would rather have him earlier in the movie to explain like this guy isn't just gonna randomly show up in the movie. Like it's not like it's not like a multiverse callback kind of a thing, like where he shows up like, oh shit, it's been Patrick Stewart all along. Like, like it's not one of those moments. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, it's been to me like, oh shit, he caught the Joker before. Like, it would need more explanation in that kind of movie.
I got you, man. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the positives or the great thing that I liked in there was the fact that the Joker was like, "Oh, you like that he's doing this. You agree with him." That part was awesome because you see Batman getting a little bit like, "Oh shit," and he's just like, "You kind of are on his side. You see that he's taking out these people who are good, but they're doing shit behind everyone's back and getting caught." And I thought that was pretty interesting because that would then relate to the end of the movie where Batman's saying, "I can't just be vengeance because look at how vengeance just got misused." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I think that would have been awesome to be like, okay, I got to change the way I'm thinking because the way I'm thinking is the way that they're thinking, and look at how they're taking it and using it. I have to be something more than that. I have to be hope. I have to be just not just vengeance or revenge. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a kind of cool, like it kind of connected everything for me. And I was like, I
Yeah.
think I would have liked that in the movie, man. I think I definitely would have liked that more than I would have liked the ending that we got with the Joker and the Riddler. Even though I kind of did like that, could kind of say like, oh, they're crazy,
Yeah.
like Riddler's crazy and the Joker's crazy, and they're right there next to each other because they deserve to be next to each other. Yeah, man. But is there anything else that you liked about the little deleted scene there?
Actually, I thought the scene was done very well. Like I mean, like I guess like he, I'm very skeptical about portrayals of the Joker especially ever since, Jared Leto and his portrayal of the Joker. So,
Yeah.
when it came to Barry Keoghan, who to me is very new, I've only seen him in Eternals, myself, so to have that only one thing be my main source of knowing him and to say like, oh, he's now the Joker, then I was skeptical to seeing like, okay, this is what they're doing with the Joker. He's all fucked up, like he looks like this, acts like that. But that was my one concern. But the scene was done very well, like exactly like you said. Just the monologue between the two gave them that history that was
Right.
very interesting. It just for me felt like if they were going to put that in the movie and take the other scene out, I felt like I wouldn't have needed to see him catch the Joker, to start the movie or something like that.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, man. If you guys haven't seen it, man, go onto YouTube. There's definitely a lot of people who have that little clip there. It's about a good, what, 5 minutes? The clip
Yeah,
in
it's about
total?
5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's the deleted scene from the Batman, just called Joker Interrogation or Joker. Um, just it's pretty cool looking, man. The one really cool thing I also liked in it really quickly is just that we never got a full look at the Joker. It's always just either his eyes or his mouth or the back of his head. So it's like we still don't really know what he looks like, kind of thing. You can kind of piece it together, but it's still a mystery of who he is and what he looks like. I think that was a really cool touch, also, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So listen, guys, next week we're gonna be talking about the movie we're hoping to see this week, which is Morbius, man. Morbius is coming out this
Are
Thursday.
we hoping to see it?
I mean, we we got the tickets, and normally we'd be looking forward to this movie, but then all the freaking reactions to this movie is that it's not well made. That's the best way I could
It's
put
not
it.
a movie.
So, I mean, I don't know what you've
I
heard,
don't know.
Brandon.
I've had a feeling about this one.
You
I've
did,
heard not good
but you
things.
don't like Jared Leto. That's the problem. So,
We can't put that out there like that. I might meet him one day. I don't I don't appreciate him as an actor.
gotcha. Honka honka. Uh, but they're saying that actually that they've been misleading the public, that a lot of those little Spider-Man verse or Spider-Verse innuendos that they've been putting in the trailers, not even in the movie. Some of the stuff with the Vulture there from the other Spider-Man movies are not in this movie, and that it's kind of a little bit of a choppy mess, and the story's not that great, and some of the CGI is not that good, which is kind of like baffling to me when you look at the freaking trailers and the CGI looks pretty damn good. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm hoping it's one of those situations where people are downplaying it and like saying they didn't like it because of high expectations. And then we go in there and we end up liking it, like Batman versus Superman and a bunch of other movies that people said they didn't like that we ended up enjoying. But I don't know about this one, B. I think that I think the crowd is going to be right about this, man.
I listen. I From the first trailer, I had no idea what the fuck this movie was gonna be. Like, I just, I mean, and I'm gonna be the first to admit it. I also did not have hope in the Batman. Like, I thought that was gonna
Yeah.
blow, but I felt like from the get go, this movie was going to blow. And I think what set it in stone for me was last week when the actor who's playing the villain in this movie wasn't actually sure he was the villain. And he actually had no idea who his character was or what he was supposed to be doing in the movie. He just read the script and was like, all right.
He's like,
So that was a little cause for concern for me.
he's like, I did that movie? Yeah. Okay. That's terrible, man. But yeah, man. I mean, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do those cross our fingers and hope for the best. Yeah, no, I was just saying we're gonna have our fingers crossed, man, for a good movie, man, and just hope for the best. Because that's, listen, that's what we go to the movies for, man, just to have a good, entertaining time. It doesn't have to be the best movie we've ever seen, but just a good movie, and that's what I'm hoping for, man.
Same. I'm hoping it doesn't suck.
Yeah, man. So listen, man, this is gonna be us for this week. Please, if you want to hear us tear down the Morbius,
Because you're gonna.
because I have a feeling we're gonna. you come back to us next week. But hopefully we'll have some positive stuff to say about Morbius. But if it sucks, we're gonna be on here killing this thing. So listen, if you want to see a movie review for Morbius next week, you got to make sure you subscribe. You hit that plus symbol on your podcast playlist. That way we can come up to you guys every week when we put out a new podcast, which we do every week. So listen, we are the Real Fan Review coming out of Long Island, New York. We're going to say goodnight. First off, my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
And we got myself, Hav, saying have a great night. Thank you for watching and listening. Again, hit that plus symbol and subscribe. Hit the like button. If you have some comments about the Oscars or Will Smith, Morbius, or even that deleted scene from the Batman, tell us what you think. Hit the comments below or email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. We'll check you guys out on the next podcast. Until next time.